Taxes. So if you're a business owner, this may not reflect a lot of people that are just, W-2 employees, just because there's a lot more loopholes when you're a business owner. And me personally, I'm a growing business owner, right? I'm just learning as I go. But I try to do things as legitimate as possible. I don't write off everything unless it's actual business expense. Because I'm in this business for the long run, not for just a short term, right? I'm not trying to, work every 50,000, I'm not trying to make every $50,000 a tax write-off, right? Or every $100, every $5, every snack that I get at the freaking grocery store, that's personally not me. I only actually write off business expenses, right? And I try to lever every, actual tax benefit, for the business, right? Like one of the things that, I've been learning as I go is that the best tax advantage that you're gonna have is investing in your business, right? This is common sense. But others too is, when you get a vehicle, are you gonna depreciate the car or are you gonna be able to use mileage? Another too is, I just learned about it, is the Augusta Rule. Like with the Augusta Rule, you could rent out your own home to your business. Just look at what Airbnbs are going for in your area, and whatever the area is going for, then you can rent out your home to your business up to, I forgot, don't quote me on this, but it could be like 12 to 14 days a year. And now that's 100% tax write-off, and you as a homeowner don't have to pay taxes on the income that came in from it either. So those are little things that you want to be learning as you go, because at the end of the day, no account is going to be perfect, right? You see all these big, millionaires and stuff like that, big artists with you would think the best accountants, getting arrested or, being charged with IRS fraud and stuff like that, like Steve Harvey, Shakira and stuff like that, just to name a few. And I never want to be in a situation like that, right? So why, they always say focus on your business, don't focus on other things that, hire somebody else for that. And I 100% agree with that. That's why I don't, do certain tasks that, I could pay someone else to do. But money management is very important, especially when it comes to taxes. Because at the end of the day, things like that could occur and it could, collapse your business, if you got away from something for so long and then they finally catches up to you. It could just crush your business. And that's why me personally, I'm very diligent with all these things. I'm always looking at certain things, what I could do, what I could leverage, certain tax advantages and stuff like that. And even like 401ks, 401ks are not the best thing as, an investment, but it's great because it's pre-tax dollars. And say, if you are a business owner and you want to retire early in say 10 years, 15 years, now your active income is not as high as it was at this time. So now you can start pulling out some of that 401k with a penalty because obviously, you're not of age, but you're not going to get taxed as much. Or you could transfer that 401k into a traditional, it's called a rollover IRA. So it's basically like a traditional IRA. So you could do that and just start pulling out the money so you don't get the full penalty. You just transfer the 401k into a rollover IRA. So, those are things that I'm already planning on doing and stuff like that in the near future when I'm focusing more on the business and not working in the business. Right now, I have to play both roles. So, for now, these are things that, I'm just looking into, and I'm bringing it up because it's important to do it early on. You don't want to wait until, November, December, because now everything's going to look funky. So now I'm leveraging everything right now. I'm working on the business things, making sure that I have everything intact. That all, I am going to use Augusta Rule. I'm making sure to use it now, in the first quarter. Then I'm using it on the second quarter, and then I'm using it on the third quarter. Just because I didn't learn about it until later on last time, I was only able to use it like in the fourth quarter. So those are things that you want to really take consideration. And if you are a legitimate business, if you are not just selling objects or shirts or something simple and stuff like that, you could just change the name and start right back up. Just change. You just have to literally just change the name and you start right back up if the IRS ever comes after you. But at the end of the day, if you are a legitimate business, you are in for the long run. Make sure you do things legit. Don't listen to these people on social media. You know, not even me. You know, don't listen to me for hard facts and stuff like that. I just, like I said, I educate on things I've learned, and you know, from mistakes, and you know, paying a lot of taxes. So you know, those are things that I'm